Hello, beautiful people. Welcome back to my channel, The Bulletproof Life, where I share information, tips, hacks, advice, my experience, and everything in between to help you make the right decisions so you can live the life you desire. My name is Ronke Odewumi, and I'm delighted to have you here. If you are new to my channel, please subscribe by pressing the red button on your right. Don't forget to click on the bell so you can get notifications every time I share a new video. Today's video is for the ladies. So if you're a man and you're listening, please invite your friends, your sisters, your girlfriends, your wives to come and listen to this video. Because today I'm going to be talking about how to be a successful woman in the workplace. For about 16 years now, I have worked in corporate spaces. I have worked in global organizations across the UK, Africa, Nigeria, and Europe. And in that time, I believe I have been successful in my career. I have learned a lot of lessons that have helped my career. I have learned lessons from my own experience, from the experience of other women, from the experience of friends who have also progressed within their career spaces. I have listened to my mentors who are female, to my sponsors who are female, and they've shared their experience. They've shared their learnings on what has made them successful in the workplace. So what I'm going to be sharing with you today is the learning of a lot of women who have succeeded in the workplace. So stay with me. You're going to like it. You're going to enjoy it. The way I'm going to approach this is that I'm going to go at it from a list of nevers, things you should never do, and a list of do's, things you should actively do. So we'll start with the nevers. Never be afraid to be the only woman in the room. This applies to projects, to organizations you want to join, to team events, to strategic projects that you want to take on in the workplace, to meetings you've been asked to chair. Never be afraid to be the only woman in the room. Never allow your gender to be a consideration when you're making decisions. So don't think, oh, I'm going to be the only woman on that project. Or if I volunteer for that thing, I'll be the only person that's going to be a woman leading it. Oh, I can't do that. Never be afraid to be the only woman in the room. The second never is a little bit of a selfish one, but I stand by it. Never volunteer to make tea or coffee at meetings. Honestly, it might sound selfish, but the journey of women in the workplace is such an uphill one. We can't afford to take one for the team on this one. No, please don't volunteer to make tea or coffee at meetings, or unless you are the most junior person in the room. And even then, not necessarily. A lot of times, women are expected to make tea and coffee at meetings because this is considered a female role. But no, it's not your job. Everybody can get their own teas and coffees. There's no reason why you should be making teas and coffees for the rest of the meeting attendants when you can be networking, having conversations with the most senior person in the room, getting yourself noticed, being visible, or even preparing for the meeting. So never volunteer to make tea or coffee at meetings. The third never is a bit similar to the second one I just shared, and is never volunteer to plan office parties or office events. Never. A lot of times, these things are just assumed to be women's jobs. You know, it's the women's job to plan office parties. And a lot of us, because we are so organized, because we do them for families and friends outside of the workplace, we get things done. And we've also bought into the erroneous myth, the lie that men cannot organize, men cannot plan, they cannot multitask. We quickly volunteer to take on office party planning, while men then go ahead to volunteer for more strategic projects, more strategic visibility projects, and all of that. I'm not here to pitch men against women. I'm just here to say, never volunteer to plan office parties. You are not a party planner in the workplace. You're not being paid to do that. So never volunteer to plan office parties. It never ends well. It doesn't do great things for your image. In fact, I've got a story around that. A few years ago, when I worked at one of the largest companies in the UK, I worked in a transformation team, lovely team of people, about 30 or 40 of us. And sometimes we needed to plan office parties. We needed to have parties, end of year parties and things like that. And this lovely lady on my team would volunteer to plan those parties. And she always did a great job. In my opinion, I was on the team for about 2 years. And she always did a great job. Now, one day, there was a project that came up, a strategic project, a visibility project. And we were discussing, about 5 or 6 of us, about volunteering for this project because it was going to get us noticed, get us face time with senior management and all of that. And then somebody in the conversation said, I wonder if, let's call her Sarah, is going to be volunteering for this project too. And then one of the guys in the conversation said, no, she won't. This is not office party planning. This is not a party that needs to be planned terribly. She's not going to volunteer for that. My mind was blown. I was amazed. I was so shocked. I was only able to say, well, the fact that she plans parties doesn't mean she can't volunteer for strategic work too. I could have been speaking to thin hair because nobody responded. They just laughed and said, she plans horrible parties too. So it's bad enough that this lady gives her time to plan office parties, but she's not genuinely appreciated by these people here. And for me, that's an example of why women should not volunteer to plan office parties if you are planning to be successful at work, because she has earned herself the image of an office party planner. And now they think that's the only thing she's good enough for. So that's a never volunteer to plan office parties. The fourth one to never do is tolerating mansplaining. Never tolerate mansplaining. And what's mansplaining? Mansplaining is when you make a point at an office gathering or an office meeting or a team meeting, and the point is not acknowledged until a man explains it. And then once that man explains it, it either becomes a joint point, a joint contribution by both of you, or it simply becomes the man's contribution. And so never tolerate mansplaining. Don't let a man take charge of your point. I've heard a story about when President Obama was president in the US, and he had a strategic team that had a number of women in it, and the women agreed to amplify each other's voices. So when a woman makes a point in the meeting, before a man will come in and take over the point, the other women will repeat it and keep repeating it until the point is acknowledged. I mean, this is one of the issues women deal with in the workplace. Sometimes we make points and it's not acknowledged, we're not taken seriously. And that is why we should never tolerate mansplaining. Best believe if I'm in a meeting and I'm trying to make a point which is not being acknowledged, I will keep making that point. I will find other ways, to present the point. I will raise up my hand. I would keep making that point until it's acknowledged. And if a man or a colleague who's a man tries to take over the point by saying what Ronke is trying to say is, best believe I'm going to say, thank you very much. I can explain myself, and I'll go ahead and explain my point. I don't need you to explain my point for me. We're all adults in this room. So never tolerate mansplaining. Another good one is to never volunteer to take minutes at a meeting. Unless you're the most junior person in the room who has been assigned the duty of taking minutes of meeting, please don't volunteer to do it. When you volunteer to take minutes at a meeting, you're going to end up keeping your head down. It's going to prevent you from contributing adequately to that meeting. You're going to be invisible, and invisible people don't get promoted. Okay, so please don't volunteer to take minutes at a meeting. Have you ever gone to a meeting where the most senior person in the room is the one taking the minutes and they are silent and their head is down? Never. No. So please don't do it. If you need to take minutes for yourself, take them and make it brief. Don't spend your time in that meeting taking minutes and keeping your head down and silent and not contributing. Worst case scenario, you can record the meeting so you can listen to it later if you are worried about missing out on key points. But please don't put your head down taking minutes for yourself or for the rest of the team. So never volunteer to take minutes at a meeting. And the last never I have to share is to never make emotional outbursts your first resort. In the workplace, women generally have the image or the brand that we are emotional. So as much as possible, you must try not to fit into that stereotype. Don't be the person bursting into tears on Monday, screaming on Tuesday, throwing files across the office on Wednesday, stomping your feet across the hall on Thursday. Don't be that person. Don't fit into that stereotype. Yes, sometimes the workplace is a tough place and you feel like, crying and it's really hard. And sometimes you just need to go and sit in that little cubicle in the bathroom and help yourself calm down. Sometimes I go to the bathroom and I run water, on my wrist just to help myself calm down. Sometimes I seize the opportunity to go for lunch because I'm thinking, yes, it's time for lunch. It's time for a break. We need to call time out on this. Yes, there are times like that. But don't make emotional outbursts the order of the day for you. Don't resort to emotional outbursts at every opportunity you get. Perception is reality. That is not who you want to be in the workplace. It doesn't progress your career. It doesn't make you a successful woman at work. So I've gone through a list of nevers. I'm going to now go through a list of do's. And I'm going to start with one that ties in a little bit with emotional outburst. And it's called do find a balance. So a lot of women have the image at work of being ball breakers. She's very tough, she's very mean, she's very nasty. Or they have the other side of the image, office mama, office mommy. I've heard of people being actually called mommy at work by their colleagues because they are so nice and they are so sweet and they are so adoptive. You need to find a balance. No, you are not the office ball breaker, and no, you are not the office mommy. You can be nice when it's necessary, when it's good, when it's required. You're a good team leader, you support your team, you are there, but you're not the one everybody runs through when they need to cry and when they need to talk about their personal lives. That doesn't have to be you. You're not obliged to be the office mommy. At the same time, you're not obliged to be nasty all the time. You're not required to be cold and heartless and just emotionally devoid. Just because you want to climb the ladder, you want to be successful at work. That's not a requirement. You do need to find a balance. Personally, at work, I'm sugar and sweet and nice a lot of times. Also, I can build the steel hand in velvet gloves. So I can come at you as tough as is required when it's required. Find a balance. The second thing to do is to stop apologizing. I haven't put this in the list of nevers because it's something that requires active action. You need to do it. You need to stop apologizing. And the reason why it's an active action is that initially when I was told by one of my mentors that women need to stop apologizing in the workplace, we are all guilty of it, I was like, nah, I'm not guilty of that. I don't apologize unless I have to. And she said to me to watch myself for a week. Sweetheart, I was apologizing to get on the elevator. I was apologizing to enter meeting rooms. I was starting sentences with apology. I was appalled at myself. And all my friends who I have told to watch themselves, whether they do this or not, have all come back to say, actually, I do a bit of apologizing. We're very apologetic. And it's because women, we like to diffuse situations. We like to diffuse non-situations. We want to be liked. We want to put forward our best foot. We want to be seen as cooperative. Again, the mommy at work thing. So we are apologizing unnecessarily. If you are wrong, apologize once and then move on. But if you are not wrong, why are you apologizing? Why are you starting your sentences with an apology? When you do that, you weaken your sentence. You take away the authority from your request. You are saying, feel free to deny my request. Feel free to ignore my opinion. Feel free to not respond to it because it doesn't matter. It doesn't count. I'm trying not to offend you. So anything you do to me is fine. No. Do stop apologizing. Don't apologize for having an opinion. Don't apologize for disagreeing. Don't apologize for putting forward ideas. Just go on and do it. Another thing for you to do is to have an opinion. Please, ladies, have an opinion. You don't have to agree with every dissenting opinion just to be liked, just to get along, or just want to piss off your best friend at work. So you agree with your best friend at work and then you agree with the manager or the senior person at work because, of course, that's a senior person. So you agree with both of them and you don't really have an opinion. Nobody knows what you're thinking. Please, have an opinion, express it politely, express it openly, stick with it, disagree politely. The people who don't agree with your opinion are not automatically your enemies. You don't have to hate them and stop saying good morning to them just because they don't agree with your opinion. No, have an opinion and be able to express it as an adult. Please don't go to the watering hole or the coffee machine or the kitchen sink to badmouth the person that disagrees with your opinion. That's not okay. It will boomerang. It will just make you a bad loser and people will think badly of you. It's not the way to success. Again, have an opinion, express it openly, express it politely, disagree politely, and move on. Do think before you talk. Think before you talk. A lot of us women, we have good social skills. We are very chatty, very conversational. And this is a strength. It's a strength because relationships are built through conversation. You can network your way, up the ladder. You can build networks when you're a good conversationalist. However, you must also learn to think before you talk. Not everything is office conversation material. The whole office does not need to hear about your relationships, your divorce, your issues with your marriage, your children, your financial troubles. All of those things don't necessarily have to come up in office conversation. Also, avoid having derogatory conversation at work about other people. Please don't talk about other people at work, especially colleagues. It's not a time to say, oh yeah, have you seen James? He dresses horribly, doesn't he? That's not a time for you to say, oh yeah, Jenny dyed her hair. What was she thinking? She looks horrible. Red is definitely not her color. No, that's not your place. Please don't do that. That's not conversation. And it doesn't work. It doesn't do you well. It doesn't progress you. It doesn't push you forward. It doesn't give you a positive image in people's minds. It just makes you, a gossip. So please think before you talk. Don't brag. Everybody at work does not need to know about your new purchases. They don't need to know about the new car or the new house or the new boat or the new yacht. They don't need to know. It's not necessary. All of those things are not necessary to the conversation you need to have in the workplace to network and to progress your career. So please think before you talk. Dress the part. Yes. A lot of organizations now say you can wear whatever you like to work and make yourself comfortable, which is amazing. I applaud it. I agree with it. Letting people wear what they like allows them to be themselves at work and would definitely improves workplace efficiency and effectiveness. I agree with it very much. However, ladies, you must still dress the part. So your cleavage should not be the first thing they see. Your clothes should not be so short you are constantly pulling them before you sit down or you're sitting on your underwear. Club wear or party wear is not necessarily suitable for the workplace, even though they say you can wear whatever you like. The jury is out on going to work in gym wear. I've heard people argue vigorously for going to work in their gym wear. I personally wouldn't do it. I wouldn't go to work in my lycra. It shows too much of what's going on underneath and it could make other people uncomfortable. So that would be me not dressing the part. So I prefer to dress the way I want to be addressed. So I dress the part. A simple blazer can switch up things, for a lot of outfits. The simplest of outfits can suddenly look very, interesting, very balanced once you put a blazer on it. So if you are confused, throw a blazer on and there you go. And the final point on the list of things you need to do as a woman to be successful in the workplace is to find yourself a sponsor. So a sponsor is a little bit different from a mentor because a mentor doesn't have to work in the same workplace with you. You can have a mentor outside of the workplace who just understands, the corporate environment in which you work and they can mentor you accordingly. However, your sponsor needs to work within your organization. Your sponsor is somebody who has a say within your organization who can speak up for you. So your sponsor needs to be senior to you. They need to be willing to speak up for you. And they will be willing to speak up for you once the sponsor relationship is agreed and in progress. So if you are interested in finding out about how to get yourself a sponsor in your workplace, please reach out to me, speak to me, send me a message, drop me an email, and I'm happy to talk you through that. So ladies, please get yourself a sponsor in the workplace. And this brings us to the end of this video. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you found it valuable and impactful. Please like it, drop me a comment, share it with your girlfriends, share it with your sisters and your wives and your friends. Let them listen and let's all be successful as women in the workplace together. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please be a friend, be a supporter. Please press the red button on your right and subscribe. Don't forget to press the bell so you can get notifications every time I share a new video. I'm looking forward to speaking with you again next week, Monday. Until my next video, please take care of yourself and keep living that bulletproof life. Bye.